Alright, I know what you're thinking. Why is this guy already talking about upcoming DLCs before the actual game isn't even announced? And I get that, but give me a chance. I'll give you proper context to why I'm doing this video. Because I really think that the upcoming DLC ideas I have will give you a better understanding of what the base game will sell as an idea. I really feel like we have to do that in order to understand why Planet Coaster 2 is going to be such a great game and why it has such a good foundation. But before we do so, a little hint to the sponsor of the channel. This is Instant Gaming, and this does fit very well to today's video, because on Instant Gaming you can get anything you want, your favorite games and your favorite DLCs, of course. Great support as always. It's fully reliable and it is no scam whatsoever. You can get keys, for example, for Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo. However, you can also get all the DLCs, and if you haven't gotten all the DLCs for Planet Coaster yet, you can do so and get an idea of them, and also get the new ones soon. But yeah, so let's get back into the video. As promised, here's the context. So recently we got to know that the base game is coming with 60 coasters and over 30 flat rides. This has been confirmed in one of these on-ride interviews in the Thor Park activation. You can find that on YouTube. There are basically a lot of videos around the interviews with like Adam and all the other ones from Planet Coaster. So they confirmed yet again that there is going to be so much content. You can also see the pre-order stuff and so on. So why I'm saying that is this game is coming with an equal amount of content as the base game plus all DLCs that you've just seen also on the Instant Gaming ad and so on. So basically we have already as much content as we had in the base game, plus the entire soaked stuff. Now, I'm not a coaster enthusiast in terms of I don't really know each individual ride in the world, and I know people are screaming for the Internet Blitz, for example, and other rides, but I'm really having a hard time to think about how to fill upcoming DLCs with even more rides, because now we have such an amazing range of rides already that I'm starting to think about something else. And if we quickly look at how the past has been handled, we get an idea how the DLCs will be working. Now, usually Frontier always spread across the whole year 4 different DLCs. Usually that was in December, March, June, and September, for example, and sometimes they move around, but normally it's like 3 months in between. And this is not the correct order how they have been published on Planet Coaster back in the day, but I just wanted to show you that this is the way they handled that. And also with Planet Zoo it was kind of the same, and with Jurassic World Evolution the same, but like they shifted the months a little bit to not be always in the same month. And so this is how you could expect that. This is why I'm going to do the first 4, because I do think that these 4 are already planned out. And also, these 4 will give us an idea how they will do it. Now, the big strength that Frontier always have is that they have a DLC alongside a very proper free update. So usually the free update comes with a whole bunch of things that everyone is going to get, and the DLC that comes alongside is basically an extension of what they are adding to the free update with like cosmetics. So never in the history of the Frontier games they have brought in a game-changing mechanic that you only can enjoy if you have the DLC. So just to give you a proper example, when they got us the diving mechanics for animals, we obviously only had the crocodile as a diving animal in Planet Zoo, but then they gave us 4 other animals in the DLC that could also make use of the diving mechanic. And, you know, after a month, they even added more base game animals and added the diving mechanics to them. So that's a very fair way of bringing in a mechanic that everyone can make use of, but if you want to make more use of it, then the game will, you know, offer you the DLC to purchase that one, which is fair. They have to make money, and this is why I think this is a fair range to do. And now, just as a last bit of context to why I'm doing the first 4 again, is because I really think they will pave the way. Usually in a planning of a game, the first kind of things will be planned out eventually, because they have to work on it right now already, so they can't wait for the users' feedback. They have to plan at least the first 2 or 3 DLCs, and in order to do that you need to have a certain plan in mind to why you're doing this. So my ideas I'm going to present you in a second are basically exactly lined out like that. And there's one big thing, there's one mega thing I want to talk about, but I will talk about that after I have showed you all my DLC ideas, because I think it's gonna get a bit more obvious to why I'm doing this and why this is not clickbait in a way, but this is actually meant to be a showcase of why I think we are onto something really great here. But without further ado, let's jump into my first one. and that is the Planet Coaster 2 Festive Pack. Yeah, so we are going towards Christmas, obviously, and the winter times, and for many people it always sounds weird because it's only 1.5 months after the release of the game, but this usually is how Frontier was doing it in the past as well. We also got a Arctic DLC for Planet Zoo just a couple weeks after the release, and I'm feeling like they would do something like this as well, which is something they have already planned with the release of the game, and then you have like an add-on just a couple weeks later. So as I said a couple seconds ago, this would be a pack that really has no influence from any feedback so far from the community because it has to be planned already quite ahead. Now, as you can see with the little icons, and that's the pattern of this video, they will give you an idea in which direction this pack could go. And my idea is that there will be a big free update alongside this, and potentially this would be the weather update, snow. We haven't seen anything about snow now. We know there is rain in the game, we know there is weather in the game, but like literally nothing has hinted at rain. Now I'm guessing, and there's this big drama always about, like at least for me, that the people, the guests, are never wearing accurate clothing. Not at all. And I could see this being the big update, that people actually do wear winter clothing in the winter season. We get actual rain, and alongside that we get a couple of typical Northern Hemisphere winter, I don't know, trees, for example, and a couple of festive items. And alongside that we get a classic bobsled ride, for example, and some jacuzzis for the pools. Because now we have to think of it like every update this time around doesn't always feed into the coasters, obviously, but also has to feed into the whole water park mechanism, as this is the big selling point of the game. And I also feel like there could be a new brand or a returning brand put into the game, because that's something they also did in the past with like the Studios pack and the World's Fair pack, that they brought in completely new brands to the game. And I would love to see a new brand in here, honestly. So this could be really cool. And then for more rides like that, like, you know, as in for rides, for example, you would have the bobsled, as I said, and then the jacuzzis, and maybe alongside that, maybe hot showers or something like that. I really, you know, I didn't want to pinpoint it exactly, because I really want to focus more on the idea of the pack. And as I said, I could have gone and researched every single flat ride, but maybe there is a typical flat ride that usually is an indoor ride or something like that, because that would fit to the winter times. And I feel like this could be something really cool. And just in general, like with all this festive stuff and so on, this could work very well as a first pack, because also, frankly, those first packs usually are a tiny bit smaller than the other packs, because as I said, they have been working on that already previously, but also the time in between the release of the game and this pack is not as big. So there is not that big of a need of a huge pack, and B, there wasn't that much time to finish that off. So this is the festive pack, maybe a slow start, but let's get into the next one, which is getting a bit more spicy. Also the one I'm the most proud of. This is the Venice pack, and people may actually be thinking, what the heck is going on? But hear me out. Now, I was thinking about its spring season then, mostly across the globe, not everywhere obviously, but like in the Northern Hemisphere where a lot of theme parks are, this is springtime. And this time around, I thought this could be the first one which has actually focused a lot on the pool system in the game. Because we know there are a lot of pools and slides and stuff in, but what they're really lacking is anything that sets it apart from, for example, Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 Soaked. Now, everything has been one way or the other already in this game, but what really could set this apart is an enhanced mechanic of these typical swimming pools, water parks, like having soak zones or splash zones for kids, like where they play with like buckets or something like that, or have like fountains going on enough where they can run through, or have like all these typical noodles they can play around with, or have like water shooting guns and shooting range for like water stuff. And you could also have like these typical boat rides. You can see there's like a Venice boat ride, but what about having such a boat ride as an attraction, like as a tracked ride, I should say, that you can bring in? And as for scenery, because I figured that could be the first pack where we get a proper new scenery pack, I think Venice would offer such a great opportunity to add a range of a lot of Mediterranean kind of style build elements, but also a lot of Nautic stuff, like Nautica, like, you know, as in you know, stuff that goes along with like water travel, like a lot of boats and all this kind of stuff to enlarge the range of this that you can use in your water park areas and stuff. I really feel like this could be a mega pack in terms of variety, and also you could then again fit in like a typical roller coaster, and you could basically bring in any roller coaster or like an older carousel maybe or something like that goes along with the theme of Venice. But I do think there is an easy way to fit in maybe a wooden roller coaster or a old steel coaster, I don't know, that goes alongside. I'm not an expert if there is anything like a theme park down there in this region. You could definitely derive something from there, but I really feel like the combination of having actual new mechanisms for the water park, and then actually what I said already with the festive pack comes into play, that I do believe we would get one splash zone kind of thingy, maybe a splash pad as a free update alongside the free update, and the free update would then bring in this mechanic of having actual kids and guest interaction with your splash zones, maybe even. And then if you want to have more splash zone elements and the shooting range, for example, you need that DLC. The same goes for the boat ride, and obviously the scenery pieces, you always need to do that. I feel like this could be something really cool, and I really would love to see how that plays out. So that's been my second pack idea, and now let's go on to the next one, because the next one is also very hot, I should say. Pun intended, but this is the desert pack. Well, even though it might sound a little bit more like properly for a zoo game, this, my friends, potentially would be the greatest thing for at least the Bronation community, as I figure. So this is the community on Discord with a lot of nerds, a really great community of mega nerds, in case you didn't know. And I know that these people specifically always ask for another stuff that is Midway games, for example. And the desert pack could be a great opportunity. Now, when the spring pack has had a huge focus on the water parks, this one could have a huge focus on the rest of a theme park. And this could be Midway games, for example, and it could bring in the beloved and good old Western pack. I know that a lot of people would have wished to have the Western theme in the base game already, and I do think we are good to go with like a combination out of the other packs, but something typical facades and stuff like that from desert packs would be mega to have, alongside some more foliage, some more cacti and so on. Can't really tell too much about what type of foliage is already in the game, so don't quote me on that. Maybe we already have quite a lot of different cacti stuff, but if not, this could be a good opportunity to give us a good of scenery items with this. And alongside that, you could obviously bring in also a very cool wooden coaster. You could actually bring in maybe even a new shop again, with like having some fruits to offer. And I would love to see this alongside maybe proper restaurants, guys. We don't have restaurants in the game, as we know, or at least as of now, we don't know. Maybe they surprise us, but we know that we had restaurants in the wonderful Planet Zoo. So again, this could be for the free update. We could get, for example, a proper restaurant mechanics, and then a new brand that could also be chosen to be part of the restaurant is kind of a smoothie bar or whatever, like fruits and so on, that would fit the desert style. So I think this could be a great opportunity to bring in a lot of this hot summer stuff, maybe even bring in some clothing options again. So if we have the winter clothing, we could go full on summer clothing. And the reason why I'm saying that is because as the game has changed so much in the way how it tackles time, and that we are going to go full day cycles now, with what it seems to be like actually opening hours where people go in and out the park, which allows for such a different gameplay, that could also allow for different seasons, and in which these seasons would result into a different clothing style of the people. Because if the park always is fully closed after a full day cycle, and then people have to get new into the park, then that makes a whole bunch of sense that there is a chance to magically make them wear other clothing without having the hassle to, I don't know, make them just plop and change the clothing, even though they do this anyways with the changing rooms, but whatever. And this obviously would even give you an opportunity to still squeeze something in for the pools, because obviously you could do some new shadings or maybe some more options for the pools and showers. I don't know. There are chances, but I think this would be great if this would focus again on the theme park as a whole and bring in maybe a couple new slides as well and some stuff for that. So this one would also be focused more like onto, the water parks, but also on the theme park level, more like something for the theme parks. And this type of Midway games would be a great continuation of the story that has been started with the water pads and water splash zones in the previous DLC, that would be the Venice DLC. I would see some really good chances in here. Now, the last pack I want to talk about is the Haunted pack. You know, I could have just labeled that Spooky pack, because essentially it is what it is, but because we had the Spooky pack already in Planet Coaster 1, I thought, you know, just let's phrase that in a different way. Now, the Haunted pack would have a great opportunity to bring some dead trees into the game and stuff like that. Would be easily great to bring in another very good theming range with like this typical spooky building style, but go more into like the funky style. So it could actually fill the void that the fantasy pack is having at the moment. So we don't have a fantasy pack, so you could use this Haunted pack to fill the void of the fantasy pack, for example. And maybe you're already starting to see the pattern I'm getting to in my conclusion, but if not, this is another hint. But there are two more big things I want to talk about. So you see there is an icon for what I call a motion simulator, and this is definitely something I would bring in. Now, as we know, we will have the FD Vision, we will have trackless rides and stuff in the base game, which are usually the ones you would need for like these typical dark rides things. I think it would be a great chance to bring in a typical motion simulator or another one. I'm not sure if we have one in the base game, but there are several different designs of it. So, for example, like Star Tours design is a cool one. But if you have something like that, you could do a haunted house with like this, you know, there are haunted houses out there that use this kind of motion simulator, but there are haunted houses that use a typical ride, like the one in Disneyland, obviously. So that's something that could work, but you can also see the zombies on the right-hand side, and they are not meant to be a mascot or anything. No, they are meant to be actual staff members doing like zombie stuff. A lot of theme parks nowadays do parades and special occasion things, like for example the Movie Park Germany, which I'm not the biggest fan of this park, but what I love about is the Halloween stuff they do. Been a couple of times there, and what they do is they cover the entire park in crazy mist, and basically everyone needs to work on these days. I think that every staff they have employed have to work on this day, because they're like in the park, they're wearing costumes, and they do scare people, but like honestly they do it on such a great level. I nearly pooped my pants when I was there. That was really crazy, but a lot of fun, and the whole park is in this kind of spooky vibe, and it's about time that we go into more like these things that make a theme park bigger than it actually is with only having the ride. So having actual scare opportunities, and they could work similarly to how the educators work in Planet Zoo. So I'm always trying to see if there's a system in place that Frontier could make use of and how realistic that is. And I feel like this is super realistic. You know, you could use the education points from Planet Zoo as scare points, for example, in this game, and then have like staff members being actually there to scare people and go into different costumes and stuff like that. I think this would be beautiful and would add such a cool new layer to the game, that I feel like this Haunted pack could be really cool. And then obviously this scare mechanic or parade mechanic, or however you want to call that, could be added as a free update again, so you see the pattern, and then with the DLC you get more costumes, you get more opportunities to build this, whatever. But I think this could be cool, and a Haunted pack obviously is always prone to having new cool stuff for maybe for pools, like different lightings or whatever, and also bringing in typical wooden rides. I don't know why I think wooden rides, but I think wooden coasters and stuff would be very fitting for a Haunted pack. Anyways, it's about time to draw a conclusion and really finally tie together why I was making this video and what I want to try to, tell with it and get across. So I guess you already have seen where this is going. I do believe that the base game Planet Coaster 2 is going to be so packed and so great that literally there isn't going to be a chance for Frontier to continue the same way as they have done with the first game. There isn't a simple way to have a DLC that comes with a theme that we haven't seen in Planet Coaster 1 and also with rides that we haven't seen anywhere else or are somehow already covered in the base game. We also need to consider that they have now the option to theme everything we have. So basically our flat rides are now way more versatile. Not only that we have a lot of them, we can also take them and bring them into every theme we want. The same goes for coasters. Now that means different car variants or car types, train types aren't necessarily that much of an importance anymore. So what is left, you know? What is left? And I feel like everything we've seen so far screams that this game is becoming so much better with their DLCs if Frontier has done a correct job and, you know, done the analysis like I have. And I'm not saying that, you know, this has to be the right way, but this is just the way I see it, that you have a huge chance to just take what you have, which is a great base game, and really level up the theme park around this, because that's the one thing I'm missing in all of that. The new game obviously is advertised around the pools, and it is obviously a game that is a lot better than the first game when it comes to overall content and so on. But we shall not forget that there is still a lot of stuff missing from theme parks. Not saying that this is a must to begin with as a base game, because like this is a lot to do, and there are basically no games out there that had all of these mechanics in the first place, so it's not like that you are missing something in comparison. But the thing is, we've got such a great game here at hand that the chance is immensely to go to the future and have things like parades and have things like actual scare areas for the winter, have the chance to use seasons way more better with different festive approaches. You know, Phantasialand always does it with the Winter Dream. Disneyland obviously does it with the different types of parades. People actually only go there in the winter times to witness all the typical parades and winter stuff they have and the Christmas stuff. So these are the type of things I would expect from the Planet Coaster 2 DLC policy, to bring more to the game that hasn't been featured in any of their other games, theme park games so far, to make the game not only a bit better, but a mile better, what they already did by bringing in the water parks that we didn't see. So really, I would love to see them go in this direction, and I really would love to see them explore new mechanisms that we have. And this is the baseline. I'm very hopeful because of Planet Zoo, because of what they've introduced to Planet Zoo. And since this is obviously a different game, and maybe you guys listening to me for over 20 minutes now do not know exactly what they have done with Planet Zoo, here's a very quick wrap-up of things they've added along the time, and not what's not been in the base game but now added after all these years. So we received proper restaurants, we received proper educators, we like a completely new staff member. The educator then was advanced from pack to pack to become someone who's actually doing guided tours that you can manually create. We have gotten a petting zoo mechanic where people can actually not only enter the habitat but also interact with the different animals in there, you know, pet them, give them food and so on. So they have brought in completely game-breaking and groundbreaking mechanics along the way, and then alongside them, these updates, they always had kind of cool DLCs that brought in more animals to use for the petting mechanic and so on and so forth. So you can imagine where this is going. So yeah, I really do hope they go the same direction, and now it's up to you. What do you think about my idea? And thank you, by the way, if you've listened through all of that, thank you so much for doing this. What do you think about my packs? I know there is a very tiny chance that there is even one single hit in here, but you know, let's see where this is going. If I have if I continue my track records of things that I've done and then Frontier have brought them actually into the game, we have a good chance. But as I've not built them, just talked about them, the chances are smaller, I guess. Anyways, thank you so much for holding through the whole video for me. Now let me know what you would love to see in terms of packs. Is there a specific idea you have, and also what kind of direction would you love them to be going? Anyways, thank you so much. And if you like this type of content, if you like Planet Zoo, if you like Planet Coaster 2, if you like all of that, make sure to subscribe to the channel. That helps me out a lot. We are actually, you know, it's getting a bit slower, but we are getting there. 100K is in sight, and you would do me a huge favor to just subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and also double check if YouTube hasn't automatically unsubscribed you. And as said at the beginning of the video, if you still want to try out the DLCs that we had with Planet Coaster, you can grab them via my instant gaming link in the description for a super value, very cheap, so you can test them out if you want to before you dive into the new game. And you can obviously also check the pre-order on there as well. Enough talking, enough rambling. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you a wonderful weekend, and I talk to you in the next one.